never thought I'd be the kind of man who walks out on his family. At 58, with 3 grown children and nearly 30 years of marriage behind me, I always believed that whatever storms came our way, we'd ride them out together. But life has a cruel sense of humor sometimes. It started with a stack of bills and a moment of curiosity. Nancy had left her phone charging on the kitchen counter while she ran to the store, and as I sorted through the mail, I noticed a notification pop up on her screen. A Facebook message from someone named Alan Westmore. The name didn't ring a bell, but something about the tone of the preview made my stomach twist. "You never told him, did you?" It read. I shouldn't have looked. I know that now. But I clicked into her messages anyway, just for a second, just long enough to see the truth staring back at me. What I found was a conversation that shattered everything I thought I knew about my life. It was recent, from just a few days ago. Nancy and this man were talking about something that happened before we even got married, before our kids were born, before all the birthdays, holidays, and quiet nights at home. According to what they wrote, only 3 months into our marriage, Nancy had spent 3 days away from me under the pretense of visiting her sister. Instead, she'd been with Alan. And not just for coffee or conversation. She'd had an affair with him. A full-blown 3-day betrayal. And worse still, she had apparently considered leaving me for him. She hadn't told me any of it. Not then, not ever. I sat there, frozen, the house suddenly feeling like a stranger's. All those years of trust, of believing in the story we told ourselves about our love, gone in an instant. How many times had I asked her if there was anything she regretted? If there was anything she wished she'd done differently? She always said no. That we were lucky. That we had built something real. But how could something real be built on a lie? When Nancy came home, I confronted her. I showed her the messages. She dropped her groceries, one of the bags splitting open, apples rolling across the floor. She fell to her knees, sobbing, begging me to understand. It was a mistake, she kept saying. A terrible, stupid mistake. I was young. I was confused. I never meant to hurt you. She swore it was only that one time. Said she chose me, that she loved me more than anything, that she regretted keeping it a secret but was too ashamed to tell me after so many years passed. She said she thought it would destroy us. She was right. The worst part wasn't just the affair. It was the silence. The fact that she had carried this with her for almost 30 years, watching me raise our children, celebrate anniversaries, hold her hand when we lost our parents, and never once thought I deserved to know. All those moments where I opened up to her, trusted her completely, and she had this shadow hanging over her the whole time. I couldn't sleep that night, or the next, or the one after that. For days, I walked around in a daze, trying to make sense of a world that no longer felt familiar. I avoided telling the kids at first. I didn't want to ruin their image of her, or of us. But Nancy insisted they deserved the truth. So one by one she told them. Each call ended in tears. Our oldest daughter screamed into the phone, asking how her mother could do something like that. My son, usually stoic, went silent for hours before finally breaking down. They were adults now, but none of them were ready for this. None of us were. We tried to talk. Nancy begged me to stay, to go to counseling, to give us a chance to fix things. But how do you fix something that's been rotting from the inside for decades? Every time I looked at her, I saw the woman who lied to me for most of my adult life. I couldn't unsee it. Couldn't unhear it. So I packed a bag. Not dramatically. Quietly, carefully, like I was handling something fragile. I told Nancy I needed space. Then I moved into a small apartment across town. Those weeks were some of the hardest of my life. I cried more than I thought possible. I replayed every memory, wondering which ones might have been tainted by guilt or regret. I questioned whether we'd ever really loved each other, or if she'd spent all that time pretending. Eventually, the pain settled into something quieter, something final. I realized that forgiveness is not the same as forgetting. And sometimes even if you forgive someone, you can't live with them anymore. Some wounds don't heal, they just scar over, reminding you every day of what was broken. So I filed for divorce. Not because I wanted to punish her. Not because I stopped loving her entirely. but because I owed myself and my kids the chance to build something honest. Something real. Starting over at 58 isn't easy. I'm learning how to cook for one again, how to sleep without someone beside me, how to explain to friends why I'm suddenly single after all these years. But for the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm living in the truth. And maybe that's enough. Maybe it has to be. Even after I filed the papers, part of me held on to some lingering hope that maybe this was just a bad chapter in our story. A painful detour, not the end. But Nancy didn't fight it. She signed everything without argument, her eyes red and tired, her voice barely above a whisper when she said, "I understand." That hurt more than I expected. We had been through so much together. Births, deaths, job changes, moves, all the little things that make up a life. And now, with the stroke of a pen, it was over. Not because we stopped loving each other, but because one secret, buried for decades, finally surfaced and proved too heavy to carry together. The hardest part wasn't the loneliness. It was the silence. I'd grown used to coming home to someone who knew me better than anyone else. Someone who could finish my sentences, who remembered how I took my coffee even before I asked, who loved me not just for the good parts but the messy ones too. Now those moments were gone, replaced by quiet evenings and unanswered questions. I tried to stay connected with the kids, but it wasn't easy. At first they were angry. Not just at Nancy but at both of us. They felt lied to, betrayed in a way children shouldn't have to feel by the people who are supposed to be their foundation. Our daughter stopped speaking to Nancy for weeks. My son would take my calls but rarely stayed on the line long. Only our youngest daughter reached out to both of us, trying to be the bridge between two broken pieces. She once asked me, "Did you ever really know Mom?" And I didn't know what to say. 'Cause I thought I did. I thought I knew every part of her. The way she hummed when she cooked, the way she cried during old movies, the way she always tucked a blanket around the kids when they fell asleep on the couch. But there was a whole side of her I never saw. A secret life folded into 3 days that somehow stretched across 30 years. It made me wonder about myself too. Had I been blind? Or had I chosen to believe in something that wasn't entirely true? There were nights I still wanted to call Nancy and talk, just talk like we used to. Nights when I missed the sound of her breathing next to me. But I knew if I called, it wouldn't fix anything. It would only reopen wounds neither of us could stitch shut. So I let go. Slowly, painfully, I let go. I started going out more. Meeting friends for coffee, joining a weekly hiking group, even taking a beginner's painting class at the community center. It was awkward at first, being alone in public, seeing couples holding hands or laughing over dinner while I sat with my book and a glass of wine. But eventually I got used to it. I even found peace in the solitude sometimes. I met someone briefly. Her name was Carol and she was in my painting class. We had lunch a few times, talked about art, books, travel. There was a moment where I thought maybe something could happen. Maybe I wasn't done with love yet. But when she leaned in to kiss me one evening, I pulled away. Not because I didn't want to, but because I realized I wasn't ready to replace Nancy with anyone. And maybe I never would be. Because love doesn't just disappear. Even when it breaks, it leaves behind echoes. I still think about Nancy sometimes. Wonder if she regrets not telling me sooner. If she misses the way we used to be. If she ever lies awake wondering what might have happened if she had come clean 27 years ago. If we could have rebuilt from that instead of letting it rot inside her until it destroyed everything. But I don't ask anymore. Some questions don't have answers. Some chapters don't get a resolution. What I do know is that I'm still here. Still learning how to live in a world where the person I trusted most broke that trust in the deepest way possible. Still figuring out how to move forward without forgetting the past. And maybe that's okay. Because healing isn't about erasing the pain. It's about learning to carry it differently. And one day at a time I'm doing just that.